Hi everyone, thanks for listening in to another episode of my podcast today. I'm your host Betty. We're talking about Outlander's 5th episode, Rent. A couple of things that, there's just one big thing that I discovered last night while looking at all my social medias. I discovered that I've been giving y'all the wrong Twitter handle. It's actually at TalkingaboutFU1. I know that sounds very weird, but it's all that's available. So again, that is at TalkingaboutFU1. So yeah, that's the Twitter handle where you can find me on Twitter. Discussions about the previous episode. When I was listening back to the podcast, I mentioned that, or I said that I didn't know exactly who won the straw drawing between Angus and Rupert. That was Angus that actually won that. And then I also pointed out that when Angus, takes the sedative or drinks the sedative, the next time we see him, he's still standing. He's not technically still standing. He keeps, but he is still upright, So, but anyway, what else did I have written here? Another thing I need to address. So, when I said that Dougal saves Claire's life twice in this episode, I mean, he did, technically, but that first time in the hallway, he didn't really save her life because he tried to take advantage of her too. It was really Claire that got herself out of that situation. So, yeah, I shouldn't have said that he saved her life twice because that's not right. Another thing I didn't say in the episode, but the poor man dying in the forest, his name was Geordie. I don't know if we've ever seen him before, so I didn't really say his name, but yeah, his name was Geordie. So let's just get on into the episode that we're currently talking about. Again, it's called Rent. And it's the 5th episode of the 1st season. The synopsis says Claire accompanies Dougal and other clansmen as they travel to various villages and collect rents. She befriends the clan's solicitor, Ned Gowan, who accompanies them to deal with records and receipts. She spends much of her time alone as the men gather round the campfires, telling ribald tales, always in Gaelic, so as to exclude her. In the villages, they accept many forms of payment, including money, grain, and livestock. Claire is unsettled by how little the men seem to care for the villagers' well-being and is surprised to see Dougal collecting money with which she believes he's lining his own pockets. She soon learns that the money is for an altogether different purpose. Okay, so this episode, it starts out with Claire reciting a poem. I wrote it down. It goes, "Absent hear thou my protestations, against my strength, distance, and length. Do what thou canst for alteration, for heart of truest metal, absence doth still, and time doth settle." And of course, when she sang this poem, Ned Gowan comes up behind her and starts saying it with her. And so we're introduced to a new character in this way. And so yeah, he's the little guy that goes on the road with everybody, or with Dougal and them to collect rents. So after they are reciting that little poem, you hear chaos in the background, and Claire, they look over there, and it's the Highlanders. They're all roughing up this guy, and they're speaking Gaelic to him. And Ned Gowan, of course, translates to Claire that they're teasing the boy about because it's his first time on the road with them, and they're teasing him about doing inappropriate things with his sister. And so, but anyway, and then they go on to talk, and Ned Gowan explains to her how they collect the rents and they do things, and then he starts coughing, and Claire doesn't like the sound of it, and so she gives him something to smoke in his pipe, and he's a little puzzled by why would you put something in my pipe to help to help a cough. But she gives him the herb, I think, is called Jimson weed, or she calls it apple thorn, I think. Is it apple? I think so. Anyway, she gives him that to smoke in his pipe, and it helps a great deal, because she later on goes on to say that it would be used for medicinal purposes for asthma. And so anyway, and then Dougal announces to the camp that pack up, we're leaving. And so the next scene we see them, they're on the road, and they're singing a marching song. And I didn't write this one down, I probably should have, but it was pretty neat to hear all the men singing in unison there. So then we see Claire and Ned riding on their horses, and they're talking about Ned's past, how he used to be a lawyer inside a building, and that got pretty boring for him. And he says to her that so he goes on to explain to her that he met up with a chieftain of the clans to help them do the work he's doing now. And she says that it was Colum that found him, but he explains to her that he's not as young as he looks, that it was actually Colum and Dougal's father, Jacob, that found him to do the work he's doing now. So, and of course, then Claire's voiceover says that she couldn't, that Ned's company would make her life on the road pleasant. She couldn't let him distract her from her mission to get back to the Stones. In the next scene, they're all in front of the campfire, and they're laughing and telling jokes and things, and they're speaking in Gaelic, and they kind of leave Claire out of the conversation, and she says that it didn't bother her that they were making crude jokes, and that her food was didn't look very appetizing, and that she would have to sleep in uncomfortable places. But what bothered her most was that the men were deliberately speaking in Gaelic to exclude her from all of this. And Jamie comes up to her and tells her not to worry about what they're saying about her, or what they're saying, because it's not important. And she says they don't trust her, and he I think he agrees with her or whatever. And then she asks him if he thinks she's a spy, and he says that he doesn't believe she's a spy, but he does know that there's things that she's keeping from everybody, because she did try to run from during the gathering. So he knows that she is hiding something. So in the next scene, this episode moves a little fast, but anyway, in the next scene, they're at the village, and she's they're collecting the rents and stuff, and Claire gets bored with all that, so she goes off and wanders, and she runs into the women, or she hears women in the distance singing, and the women invite her to do the wool walking, which I loved this scene, because I love this show's attention to detail and all that. And so yeah, they're doing the wool walking and everything, and of course Claire joins in with them, and then they all go inside the tent, and they're refreshing, they're drinking so that they can refresh the bucket. And a little baby starts crying, and the woman says that it's because the goat, her husband had to pay their rent with their goat, and the baby is teething, so it won't nurse. And so anyway, when Claire is going to do her contribution to the bucket, Angus comes in, and he's really rough with her right here, but he comes in and grabs her by the arm and makes her leave, and accuses her of being drunk and all that. She probably is, but that's besides the point. But then when she goes out there, and she wonders why they can't give the goat back to the family, because there's a baby starving, and she feels bad for all of that, but they can't. I mean, that's just the way it was. That's just the way they that was payment for the rent. And so she's standing there arguing with Dougal, and